Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to a new session of your social science children. We have been seeing about the landforms and the various types of landforms in our earlier sessions, right? So now, what are all we have seen? We will just have a quick recap. We have seen about what is a mountain and the types of the mountain. We have seen about block mountains, we have seen about fold mountains, we have seen also about rift valleys. So all these we have seen. So now we are going to see about the importance of mountains. Why is the mountain important for people? And then we are going to see about why should we protect rivers, and then we are going to see about plateaus and its importance, and the same way we are going to see about the plains and their importance, right? So first we will see about the importance of mountains. So we all know that mountains are the elevated structure of land that happens or that has been created due to the collision of tectonic plates. So we have seen about that in detail in our previous sessions. So now we will see why is mountain important. So there are many mountains which have rivers on their surface, right? So it has rivers and also the surfaces of ice, which is called as glacier. Yes, this word is very familiar for us. So the surfaces of ice is called as glaciers. So when these are present on a mountain, what will happen when this ice surface starts to melt? It will become a surface of a river or a stream. Okay. So as the glaciers melt, it gives rise to rivers and streams. So that is why mountains are important, so that it gives us the source of water. Then many major rivers around the world originates from the glacier. So majority of the rivers, many bigger rivers around the world, okay, around the world itself, it starts with the help of this melting of glaciers. So in India, you can very well understand that river Ganges, we say it as Ganga river, that originates from the glacier, okay. So here, as I told you, river Ganga originates from the glacier called as Gangotri. Okay, so river Ganga originates from Himalayas, right? It starts from Himalayas and it starts from the glacier called as Gangotri. Okay, and unlike the rivers fed by the rainwater, these rivers have water throughout the year. So if a river is going to be just based on the rainwater, okay, so there are many rivers which do not start from glaciers, that is, they are dependent on the rainwater. So only if rain is there, the river will be always full of water. So if rain is not there, what will happen? It will become dried, okay. So but this glacier rivers, that is the rivers that start with the help of glacier, will not get dried at all, okay. So they always have water throughout the year. There is no scarcity of water in such rivers which are formed with the help of glaciers. So that is why these glaciers can start from the mountain only, right. So that is why the mountains are important. And then it influences the climate of the place and they act as natural barriers against the hot or cold winds. So mountains determine the climate of a place. How? If the place is very higher, okay, so the temperature will be less in that place. So the place is very near to the mountain will be slightly cold always, that is the temperature will be moderate. We will enjoy the chill climate at these places. So that is why mountains influence the climate. Then they act as natural barriers against the hot or cold winds. So when the wind is going to be too hot traveling from one side, or if it is going to be too cold coming from the other side, mountain acts as a barrier. So people who are on the other side of the mountain will not be affected because of this hot or cold winds. And then they also brings rain to the places that lie on their windward side. Windward side is nothing but the place which gets more rain near the mountain. So mountain acts as a barrier, as we have seen. So it will stop the wind and it will give rain to one particular place. Okay. So that is how it helps people by giving rain also. And then they have forest. So many mountains, as we all see the pictures of mountains itself, you can see full of trees, right? So many mountains have forest which have a rich variety of plants. So there are many varieties of plants in the mountain which we get resources like fuel, fodder, timber, medicinal herbs, fruits and many other products. So we get many valuable items from these forests, right? So we get fuel, we get fodder. Fodder is nothing but the food we give for cattle. Then the timber, right? The wood which we use for making doors, cots, sofas, everything, tables, many things we make on a regular basis. This is a very strong type of wood. So we usually purchase this wood for our own use. So this we get from forest and especially in mountains, and we also get many medicinal herbs, right? And then the fruits we get, and also many other products we get from the mountain. And also the slopes of the mountains support the cultivation of the plantation crops. So what are all the plantation crops? Two mainly. One is coffee and the other one is tea. So only on the mountain slopes these plants will grow. So the mountains help in that also. And as they are scenic and cooler than the plains, they are popular as tourist spots. So mountain views, have you ever been traveling on a mountain, children? Just give it a try. When you go or when you travel around a mountain, when you go to the topmost point, you can find completely green. A very beautiful sight from the top of the mountain. So, as it is looking very appealing, it is very attractive. Okay, it is very beautiful. Scenic means beautiful. Okay, so and it is also cooler. It will always be chill when you reach the top of the mountain. Okay, so that is why these mountains have always been a tourist spot. Okay, so many people travel to mountains just to enjoy their vacation. So that is all about the importance of mountains. So now we are going to see about why should we protect our rivers. Okay, so we should save and protect our rivers. Why should we do that? They carry water to different regions. Yes, it carries water. River is a source of water. It moves around many places. So it takes water to many places, right? So it has to be saved definitely. Then dams built, yes. So we build dams across the rivers, right? Even in our previous civics lesson, we have learnt about Mullai Periyar Dam, the issue we were reading, right? Yes, so the dams are built to save the water in the reservoir. Reservoir is nothing but the place the water is stored, and when the need requires, that is when water is required on the other side of the dam, the reservoir will be opened and the water will come out. Okay, so that is how the water is stored in the reservoirs. So dams are built only on the rivers. It can be built on the rivers only, not on a sea, right? So dams are built. The water is stored in the reservoir, and we use that water for generating electricity, also for agriculture, irrigation purpose. We are using this water. So again, rivers are important, and rivers overflow and deposit sediments on the river banks, which forms a fertile flood plain. So rivers overflow and deposit sediments. So what is meant by sediment? The river water flows from a place. So when it comes along, it will carry all the particles which are there on its way. Whatever is there on its way, maybe it is traveling from a mountain, it will carry some small stone like things, or some plants, some soil, even rocks. Okay, so it carries away the particle along with the water. So this will form a very fertile floodplains. So the soil carried by this river, which gets settled on the banks of the river, okay, it is very fertile in nature. So we call this fertile soil as alluvium. Okay, so we call this fertile soil as alluvium. So alluvium means fertile, right? So the sediments that get deposited near the mouth of the river forms fertile triangular tracts of land called deltas. Okay, so the the soil which gets deposited near the mouth of the river, that is the place where the river gets ended, it will form a triangular structure, and that is what we call it as delta. Right? So these places are again very much fertile and they are very much suitable for cultivation, and we should cherish and take care of our rivers. Okay? But we are dumping the industrial and domestic waste in the rivers, and we are converting the lifelines to carriers of death and diseases. So rivers are our lifelines. Without river, no, agriculture is impossible. Okay, so they are giving us life, but what we are doing, we are throwing all our waste on the rivers. We are sending away all the industrial waste, we are sending away all our domestic waste, that is the waste from the house. Everything is being moved to the river, and we are changing these lifelines to the carriers of death and diseases. So the river which is saving our life is turning out to be poisonous, that is, it is going to cause many diseases and yes, death of course. So rivers has to be very well saved, right? Okay, so we have completed all about mountains, the first landform. Now we are going to see about another structure which is called as plateau, right? We call it as plateau. So now we will see what is a plateau. So it is again an elevated block of land. Okay, the land is slightly higher and with a flat top, and the sides could be steep or rolling. So it is the structure which is higher than the ground level. It will be flat on the top and its sides would be either rolling. Okay, so there would not be any proper grip to walk on. If it is in mountain, it has more trees, it has more hard rocks. Okay, so it will be better while walking on a mountain than walking on a plateau, because there is no proper hold. The surface itself is rolling. Okay, so the shape resembles that of a table. So it looks like a table, and that is why the plateaus are also called as tablelands. Okay, so the other name for plateau is tableland, and they are lower in elevation than the mountains. So they are not as high as a mountain. They are lesser in height when compared to mountain, but more height than the land surface. So this is the surface which is in between mountain and the plain. Okay, so here you can see, yes, this is the plateau, Deccan Plateau, which is in India, which is the largest plateau in the world. Okay, oh sorry, it is the oldest plateau in the world. And then here you can see Africa has more plateaus when compared to the other continents. Okay, so here you can see in this map, right? So here this color depicts plateaus and mountains also. So here you can see all these places are fully covered with plateaus and mountains. So many places are covered by mountains in Africa. And then this is Tibetan Plateau, which is a very biggest plateau, right? So it is also the most higher comparing to the other plateaus. So first we will see about, yes, so as I said, the oldest plateau is Deccan Plateau of India. Then a large part of African countries are covered by plateaus, and finally the Tibetan Plateau is the highest plateau in the world with a height of 4,000 to 6,000 meters. Okay, so while comparing the other plateaus, it is the highest plateau, right? And again it is also called as the roof of the world. Tibetan Plateau is also called as the roof of the world. So now we will see about the importance of plateaus. So we have seen why mountains are important. Now we are seeing about why these plateaus are important. So first thing, they are the regions with high mineral deposits. So it contains various ores or minerals from the land. So we can use it for industrial purpose, while rivers which come from the mountain are useful for agriculture. Yes, same way plateaus help us in industries, right? So the Chota Nagpur Plateau in India is rich in coal, iron ore and manganese, right? We all know about iron. So all these ores, all these minerals are available from these various plateaus. So the example is the Chota Nagpur Plateau in India. So the plateaus that are formed from the accumulation of lava are rich in black soils. So we have seen that the plateaus are formed with the help of the accumulation of more sand from the rivers. Even it flows from the rivers and it forms as the plateau. So the same way, the plateaus which are formed because of the lava. Okay, so lava is nothing but the magma that comes out of the volcanic mountain. We have seen already, children. So this lava creates plateau again. Okay, so that lava is very much rich in black soil and it is extremely useful for the cultivation of crops like sugarcane and cotton. So crops like sugarcane and cotton grows well only in the black soil. So the plateaus which are created because of this lava is rich in black soil and that is how it helps in the growth of sugarcane and the cotton. So the example for that is the Deccan Plateau in India. So that is all about the importance of plateaus. So now we are going to see about plains. Okay. So this is the final form of the land which we are going to see about. So they are the larger areas which are just low and flat. That's all. That is all about the plain. It is slightly higher in some places, but the height will not go beyond 200 meters. So from the sea level, it will go only up to 200 meters of height and definitely not more than that. And some plains can be gently rolling. So it will not so much of rolling as like the plateaus, it will be gently rolling. And most of the plains are formed by the accumulation of deposits brought in by the rivers when they flow over the mountains and plateaus. So river water, when it just flows over the mountain as well as the plateau, it creates some plains also. Okay, so by the deposits brought in by the rivers. Deposits are nothing but the particles which are brought in by the river. So here we are seeing about the deposits which consist of silt, clay and sand. We call it as alluvium. I have told you about this alluvium earlier. Yes, so the deposits which consist of silt, clay and sand. Okay, all these together we call it as alluvium and they makes the plains extremely fertile. So the land becomes very much fertile when the particle consists of the silt, sand and clay. Right? So that is how these alluvial soil are helpful for agriculture. So here you can see the Indo-Gangetic plains of India, the Huang He and Yangtze plants in China, and then the Nile basin of Egypt are some of the most densely populated plains. So plains are also the places where people settle down. Okay, and not only from the rivers but deposition of the fine sands of desert over a large area, right, forms the plain. So not only from the particles of the river the plains are created, it is also created by the sand which travels from the desert. Okay, so the desert sands also when it gets deposited, it will create a surface of plain, and that type of plain is called as Loess plain. So here you can see Loess plains, right? So now we will see why are these plains important. So as simple as that, we have seen that it contains alluvium. The alluvial soil is very much important for agriculture, right? That is the first thing. So here, as we have seen, very fertile and are ideal for agriculture and human settlements. Ideal means it is very much suitable for agriculture as well as for settling down for people. And then some of the earliest civilizations of the world developed on the plains formed by the rivers. So we have seen in our old Stone Age or New Stone Age, people were settling down in the places very much near to the rivers. So how are these places formed? By the deposition of the materials carried by the river. So that is what we call it as plains. So from the earliest civilizations and even today, okay, plains are the most densely populated zones of the earth. Okay, across the world, plains are the places where it is densely populated, and it is easy, see, as it is very flat in surface, it is easy to construct even a road, even a railway track. Okay, so railways or roadways, it is easy to be constructed on the surface of a plain. Then now we will see about the influence on human lives, that is, how are these landforms influencing the human lives. So the first thing, are deeply influenced by the landforms which they live, because the place where we live determines the climate, the environment and everything, the agricultural crops, the settlements, everything depends on the place where we live. If we are on plain, it is different. If we are on mountain, it is different. So that is how the landforms influence the human lives. Then the landforms influence the climate of the region, as we have seen earlier, and the availability of food and water, the types of houses that people build and their occupations, and ultimately the culture of the people. So everything is completely different when we compare it to the three different landforms. Okay, so the culture or the tradition followed by the people in the mountain is completely different from the people of plain. Okay, so everything is dependent on this landform only. And then, so the example for that is people living in fertile northern plains, okay, of India widely practice agriculture. So in northern part of India, they widely practice agriculture. They also even celebrate the harvest festival. Yes, and the main crop they grow is wheat. We have seen about that. So the wheat which they grow in their farms is their staple food. This is their standard food. So that is how the landforms influence the lives of the people. So with that, we have completed this lesson, the major landforms of the earth, right? Yes, children. See you soon in the next session. A very interesting lesson in our next session. See you soon, children. Thank you. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.